For generations, the worst among us have contrived to tear our social and political fabric apart to benefit the few over the many. Their intent and mission have been diabolically simple: divide and conquer. And they have been wildly successful. Hi, I'm Michael James Ott, veteran, retired engineer and businessman, and now ambassador and facilitator for the solution to this madness: citizen statesmanship. The vast majority of people from all corners of the globe are just like you and me. Extraordinary, so-called ordinary people. Join us in our quest to recreate the political landscape, eliminating the tribal hostilities and warfare incited for centuries by the label and blame mantra of our traditional leaders. Now is the time to end the atrocities of god-awful leadership, launching a final and lasting divorce from tyranny. All driven by everyday citizens, driven by you and me. Take our hands, walk with us to a far brighter tomorrow, free of hate, fear, and injustice. It's the Pro and Con Show, brought to you today and every day by Citizen Statesmanship, the cure for what ails us. Hi there, welcome to the Pro and Con Show. I'm Michael James Ott.
And I'm Ben McLaughlin, and we are co-hosts for today's show.
It is wildly important for you to be supporting and spreading the word about citizen statesmanship. Mm-hmm. Citizen statesmanship will be and is important and impactful. Subscribe to or follow our podcasts. Encourage your friends. Talk to them. Hey, how about that?
Yeah,
actually talk to people, have a conversation. But it's okay. You can text them too or email them. Mm-hmm. But better if you talk. Talk to your friends and family about our only chance for a brighter tomorrow. Do it now. Arnold? That's a little bit of Arnold. I got to work on it, maybe. I don't know. Citizen statesmanship is the cure for what ails us. It is the antibiotic for our infections. It is the perfectly targeted chemotherapy for our cancer. It is the wildly successful vaccinations that we've had to prevent polio and smallpox. It's the miracle pill that will cure what has ailed human society for centuries. And we, and Ben strongly agrees with me.
I definitely do.
We must take it.
We have to.
We must take it.
Things have to change.
So today's topic is alternate realities. Yes, things must change.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, they're going to change, whether we like it or not. I mean, citizen statesmanship is the chance for us to take control and change things in a positive
way,
or continue reacting to the negative changes that are happening.
Yes,
whether we like them or not.
When I get out and I talk to people, I'm like, folks, we're at a fork in the road. Things are not going to be the same. They're going to be very much different, and they're either going to be wildly worse or appreciably better.
Exactly.
And the only way the appreciably better thing happens is if we, the extraordinary, ordinary people, are in charge of ourselves. So anyway, today's topic, as we said, is alternate realities. Mm. And so Ben and I, we are just going to spend some time talking about all the kinds of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff. And we're just going to kind of go through all the stuff. So Ben, are you as amazed as I am about all the variants of the same story that is out there? Last time I checked, an event was really characterized by simple things like who, what, where, when, why, if obvious. Mm-hmm. But
these days,
what are you seeing out there? What do you think?
It depends on who you ask. You can get the facts from this side, but a lot of the stories and a lot of the reputable news networks that we're seeing are reporting stuff with a little extra seasoning in the pot. It's a little bit It's, oh, well, this guy was such a hero and so strong, and this guy was a drug addict and this and that. And it's like, well, what happened? This person did this and this happened. Those are the facts. But no, we got to paint this side to look better, paint that side to look worse. And then you flip to another channel and it's the opposite. Well, this big, mean person came after this poor, helpless person who did this. And it's like, it's just so many variations of the same story, especially assisted now with AI. You can really make it look the way you want it to. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Critical thinking is more important now than it's ever been.
More important now than it's ever been. So maybe, I don't know, are you old enough to remember when there were just three major networks, CBS, NBC, and ABC? Do you remember those days?
I can remember when those were the only ones that I knew. Okay. I can't for certain say if those are the only ones that there were, but I do remember there weren't as many news sources as we have now. I mean, now it's a whole just, last time I go home, because my mom said satellite TV, it's a whole block on the TV of just news channel after news channel after news channel in there. And what's crazy is I think like Fox and CNN are like right next to each other. So you can really flip to one and see them talking about the same story from alternate perspectives. Like, it's amazing. It's
yeah. So I definitely am old enough, unfortunately or fortunately or whatever. I'm quite a few years older than young Ben here.
I mean, these days it could be fortunately.
But yeah, I mean, for sure, back in the day, there were three networks, and that was it. And I don't even think, when I was young, there wasn't even a thing called PBS back then. There was just the three major networks. And then there was, I think you'd have maybe the occasional local station. Because I remember WGN in Chicago. It was like its own separate local station.
Oh, okay.
And they mostly did sports kinds of stuff, but they had all kinds of things. But I remember, because there's the three major networks, and they didn't even start broadcasting until it was at like 8 in the morning or something. So the only thing that was on, we'd be getting ready to go to school, and the only thing that was on was WGN. And there was this fellow, and he did the crop report, because it was a big thing in northern Illinois, especially for people that are awake at 6 in the morning. There were mostly us getting ready to go to school and the farmers. And so this guy would sit at his desk, and he would talk about the different commodity things, like soybeans and oats and stuff. And he would and that was it. I mean, we would turn it on to just have something.
Just to have something on TV.
Just to have something.
So, soybean prices are up today. Wow. Be a good time to take in the harvest if we had one.
We didn't care, it's just like, and we're like, oh geez, and I think maybe there's a little bit of a weather forecast in there too. I think that was probably the other reason why we watched this. I think there was a little bit of a weather forecast in there.
That would make sense.
But mostly it was just this guy sitting at a desk, and he would talk about, whatever was going on with farming, basically, and the soybeans and on and on. But then the three major networks, ABC, NBC, and CBS, and I do remember, actually, I'm pretty sure this is true. Every year, I think it was every year, those three networks would get called before Congress, and the two major parties, back then it was still the Republicans and the Democrats. The two major parties would basically, take them to task for not being equal and fair.
Interesting.
And I mean, in fairness, it seemed like it kind of worked, because there were only three major networks, and there were controls, because those licenses were very valuable. I mean, this was the information that was going to the entire United States, And and so all the entertainment and all that advertising and all that, it all sprung from the fact that they had these very special licenses, and that was it.
Man.
And so yeah, it was, then of course things haven't changed in the sense that the narsoles were still the narsoles, and they were arguing blah 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 blah. And of course the Democrats arguing how great they were, and the Republicans arguing how great they were.
As always,
a lot, far less of their evil kind of stuff happening back then. But there was plenty of, the Democrats, are terrible administrators. The thing back then was tax and spend. The Democrats are tax and spend Democrats, and the Republicans were whatever they were. I don't remember whatever the Republicans were. But very simple catchphrases. Again, label and blame. Got to label and blame. It's been going on for decades and centuries, and
slowly escalating in ways that we didn't notice until now.
And now, because alternate realities, the reason why this show is called Alternate Realities is because it literally is alternate realities. So one of the things that was true back when there was only 3 stations, again, with this kind of just finish that part of the thought, was the news was news. It was news. Who, what, where, when. Simple. It was, they reported, they sat there, you had some guy like Walter Cronkite or something, and he would sit at a desk and they would, who, what, where, when. And they would have little film clips of, whatever. So again, when I was young, Vietnam was part of something. And so they might have a story about Vietnam, and they might have a war correspondent, and the war correspondent would say, well, here I am in Pyongyang or something, some town. And he's like, and you could hear like the guns, firing, and the mortars, exploding,
you
and
could
stuff.
actually hear it in the background.
Oh yeah. And they would sit there, and the war correspondent would he'd have a, like a uniform with the hard helmet on and everything, man. But he'd have like a big press thing, on him, but he'd be sitting there and he'd be talking into the microphone, and he'd be saying, and he would just describe, so what I saw today was da 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 da, and we moved forward, and there was a heavy firefight, and several of our forces were killed and injured, and several Viet Cong or whatever were killed and injured, da da da, and that was the news.
I mean, that's reporting the facts for sure.
And it was reporting the facts. Now, supposedly some of that didn't get shown. It was either, so the thing was, they would either show it or they wouldn't. That was the editing. So, again, you never want to totally believe anything, including us. I mean, we are telling you the truth, but we strongly encourage you to be clear-eyed, level-headed, be inquisitive,
exactly.
and basically, even if you trust us, trust but verify.
Exactly.
Trust but verify.
I mean, this is just us having a conversation, and that conversation involves you too.
Yes.
I mean, if you guys go and you look and you see different information or something that we told you wasn't correct, definitely write in, let us know about it. Leave a comment. I mean, join the conversation. That's what this is all about, is more people need to have these conversations.
And so now the alternate realities. So then things started changing. And my memory says that the very first thing of any significance, okay, there were some small independent stations like WGN in Chicago. They showed the Cubs games and stuff like that. And they had the crop reports in the morning. So, okay, there was independent stations in some of the major cities, but otherwise it was the 3 major networks. But then my recollection is it was CNN, Cable News Network, and a guy named Ted Turner, who was a billionaire, There you go.
Yeah, he was.
He was a billionaire, and he decided that he thought he could make money on the news. So until then, the news was like a mandated thing. So Congress said, okay, part of your penance, part of your, being allowed to have your licenses, you have to do this public service. You have to provide information. And so that's why Walter Cronkite would sit at a desk and he would read, who, what, where, when. And they would have little film clips of who, what, where, when, a tornado, who, what, where, when, da, 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 da. It would just go on and on and on. That was
just
the news.
Straight facts.
Just the facts. And there was never any inkling of being able to monetize that in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, the networks always looked at news like it was a loss leader, like they had to do it. They didn't want to. In fact, yes, that was true. Some of the news programs in the earliest days, they were very short. And then I guess they grew to like a standard half an hour. And I don't know if that was forced by Congress or anything like that, but that's kind of what happened. Anyway, so now there's the cable news network, and I've said this in previous shows. It was like they had a headline news, which was a half hour, every half hour. The news again, half hour, half hour, half hour, every half hour. And then they had another channel, which was just called, I don't know. I don't remember what the other thing was, but it was just standard news programming. And even back then, it was pretty much the news: who, what, where, when. But then, as all billionaires, narsoles, pretty much all of them, they got to make more money.
Got to. I mean, you have more money than you can ever spend in your lifetime, and
but you got to
still got to get more.
You got to get more.
I can do a whole lot of good for the world, but I got to get more.
I got to get more money.
I have enough money to make everyone a millionaire, but I still got to have more.
Because wow. I got to have more. It's when we talk about the traits of narsoles many times on the show, and part of it is they don't get any satisfaction like you and I out of friendship and warmth and love and compassion. They don't understand that. It doesn't register in them.
Not at all.
But the rest of us, so anyway, and of course, looking at the human traits are, we pay attention to things that cause fear, things that cause hate, anger, mistrust. Because thousands of years ago, the stories about those kinds of things is a survival thing. And so to this day, we're still have a tendency to focus upon and think about the things that might harm us or kill us in one form or another, even though our society isn't that way anymore. We don't really live on a knife's edge anymore.
This is true.
So that was the beginning. And so then they started doing the opinion pieces all the time. And it used to be like separate programming.
Yes.
And so you'd have like a separate program that was opinion, but then they discovered the more that they integrated the opinion, propaganda basically.
Exactly.
The more they could fan the flames of hate and mistrust and fear all the time.
To capture the minds of their viewers.
To get them to stay watching.
And align to a certain political ideology.
But the main thing is just to keep watching. Because when you're watching, then they can collect advertising dollars. And as we just said,
exactly,
there's never enough.
Never.
From their perspective, there's never enough.
I've noticed too, like a lot of these news agencies and things, they cover more about what's going on somewhere else. Won't say about the injustices necessarily that are going on locally. They're more concerned, because like I always thought that was crazy. Like a local news story will talk about a kidnapping that happened 3 states over, and it's like, I said, oh, little girl missing since 2012, found, and whatever the details are. And I'm like, and you click on this, like, oh yeah, St. Louis. I'm like, what does that have to do with here though? Like, why is this like a trending thing that's popping up on my news feed for my local news station covering something that's happening in St. Louis? We got enough missing people right here in South Carolina. or gas prices,
Well,
stuff
so
like that.
let me just say something about that. Apparently not. So this is the thing that they go out and they'll pull in these stories because they got to have, for the sake of keeping the interest, they've got to have the hate, the mistrust, the anger, the
You gotta
fear.
crowdsource it from somewhere.
And so it's like, well, if there's nothing going on locally, and that happens a lot, right? Because there's actually, okay, you probably don't think of this, but the vast majority of us, everyday, normal people, extraordinary, ordinary people, we don't encounter murderers, we don't encounter rapists, we don't encounter muggings, we don't, the vast, 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 vast majority of us don't encounter any of that.
This is true.
And so there's an excellent chance, like we live here in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and or the Spartanburg area. And there's a really good chance that today there won't be any rapes, there won't be any murders, there won't be any bank robberies, there won't be. And so what are the news people are supposed to do?
Can't tell us about anything good.
They can't, well, because we don't care.
Yeah.
So then, oh, well, okay. Oh, there was a kidnapping in St. Louis. And okay, so they pull that in. Or there was an airplane hijacking here, or there was a plane that crashed in India.
Exactly.
I mean, anything to pull to keep whatever they think, whatever the stories are that they think will maximize the attention of their potential audience. That is what they're going for. And they pull it in from all over the place. And that causes alternate realities. I mean, literally. Do you have, so you live here in this area, and which is kind of mostly a rural area kind of thing. Do you have family members that like live in urban areas, like major cities?
Not major cities. Most of my family's from the Low Country.
Okay.
So they're most from down like around Florence. So I do have like family. Like I have one family member who lives in Charlotte, and he lives like in the university area.
Okay.
So he's the only one that lives in a big city like that.
Okay. Have you spent any time with him or not?
Not lately.
Okay.
I've spent time in Charlotte, but not specifically hanging out with him.
Okay.
So.
The only reason why I'm asking this, I don't mean to pry
okay.
your private life or whatever, but I was trying to get at, because this alternate reality thing, it can be really driven in a massive way by just like urban versus rural, for example. And so I saw it in my family. I have family members. In fact, my mother's family, big concentration in the Chicago area. And then I would, for whatever reasons, I was traveling all the time for business or other things, vacations or whatever. And I would notice there's a huge difference in how things are covered in urban areas versus rural areas. And toward my mother lived basically in the itty bitty teeny tiny town that I grew up in, and it got to a point where she lives that the only news was all like very conservative news. So very Newsmax, Fox News kinds of orientation there. And so I would go visit with her, and she liked to play the radio a lot. So the radio was on, and she's, and it's by the way, the crop reports are still in there. But
gotta have those crop reports.
Gotta have the crop reports, even though the percentage of farmers is tiny. But anyway, whatever, whatever, it's still in there. But definitely the Fox News, Newsmax kinds of storylines, story leanings
And so I would be there and listen to the coverage of a significant story. And then let's say the next day I would maybe travel to Charlotte or Dallas or, New York or someplace.
Mm-hmm.
And the same major stories, like national major stories, are happening. But now I'm in another place, like a major city. And I get to hear how those same stories are being covered.
Very different.
And it's very different.
If you listen to one over the other, you get two different stories.
It's very different. Alternate realities.
Yes.
It really is. And that's one of the reasons why we're actually specifically doing this show, is because this is a true thing. These alternate realities, they can be like regional, like rural versus urban, but they can also be like, northern versus southern, or coastal versus, Midwest kinds of things. There's all kinds of ways that they work hard to divide and conquer, to label and blame, divide and conquer. And in fact, if you guys, not if, you're going to subscribe, right?
Yes.
So years ago, I started doing very short podcasts, basically, on the Freedom, Equality, and Fairness, channel.
Mm-hmm.
So the same one that if you're watching on YouTube, the same channel, some of the old ones from years ago, this is 15 or 20-minute things talking about the different so-called news media and how they would treat the same story.
Oh yeah, it's interesting.
It's really interesting.
I mean, I've seen, I want to say there was a shooting or something that happened, and I go to Fox News and it's just like, a shooting happened, whatever. And I go to CNN and it's, conservative gunman opens fire with fully automatic weapon. And I'm like, wow. Like, two different things, but like, this is their headlines. This is their catch thing. Like, Fox, okay, there was a school shooting. CNN, conservative gunman, fully automatic weapon. I'm like, wow, like y'all are hitting all the hot points. Like, yeah, let's make sure we keep them locked in.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, well, what does him have to being a conservative have to do with what actually happened? Like, we're kind of getting away from the point here. Somebody went into a place, opened fire. Political alliances don't really matter at this point unless we know that's the motive.
It should not. It should not. But then that's exactly it's those kinds of stories, and there's over and over and over and over and over again. I remember like the Hunter Biden laptop.
Mm-hmm.
So back in, so I was doing some of these stories back in like 2019, 2020. And so it was Biden versus Trump back in the day, and the Hunter Biden laptop thing. And so I was watching 5 different, in fact, if you watch some of those old programs, I literally would call up like a major story on 5 different websites to see how they treated the same story. And then I would talk to, you, the audience, and say, look, this is what CNN said about this. You see how they rearrange the article. And one of the things is they talk about balanced reporting, but no, because for example, CNN, maybe reports the same information, but they change the order of it.
Yes, they do.
So they emphasize the things that are what they think would be most important to their general audience. And then the balanced reporting comes like right at the very end. So here's the other side of this, right at the end.
Exactly.
And also, by the way, the titles of the stories, they use different words and things to inflame different reactions depending on who they think their audience is.
They do.
And so you go over to Fox News or Breitbart back in the day, and these guys would flip the script.
And I mean, and it even goes a little deeper than that, because aside from just telling us the facts of what happened where, you see the contrast between Fox News and CNN on what they do next when they go into the opinion side. Fox News might bring on a police officer who's a security specialist and talk about the police response and what they did and all of this. CNN might say, we're going to bring in a weapons expert. Yeah, so this gun could have done this and it could have did that. This gun is capable of killing this many people. And it's like, we've gotten totally away from just the facts, and now we're stoking fear. Like, oh, officers had to do this, and then there's this, and there's this danger, and that danger, and then you flip the channel, and it's, yeah, well, this gun can easily be modified to kill this many people this fast, and it's like, what are the facts, though? I get what can happen, but what are the facts? What actually did happen? And that's how you get alternate stories. Yes. Oh man, these guns, they can do this and they can do that. He did this. Only by the nick of time did they stop him, or they barely stopped him with this. And then on the other side, it's, oh man, they shut it down as quick as they could. And then you get people arguing over that.
Sure.
Simple details that had nothing to do with the actual facts. Just a contrast in reporting.
That's excellent. Excellent, Ben. Excellent. So yes. And so going back to so the pro and con, the show is called the Pro and Con Show, and there were pros and cons to having just like the three major networks decades ago, and there's pros and cons to having basically anybody with a smartphone reporting on whatever, right? So some of the pros in the olden times is that, well, at least there was a fair amount of regulation, and it was hard for really bad actors like foreign governments and stuff to throw their propaganda into the mix. That was hard for them back then. But then you had the three major networks, and they chose, mostly chose whether or not they're going to cover a story, because they did report the facts typically. And again, the two parties, regulated them pretty heavily and reviewed what they did pretty heavy-handedly to make sure there was balance. And in fact, back in the day, there was a lot of arguments over, equal time kind of stuff. So if you didn't report something very factually, just news, just who, what, where, right? If you reported anything else, if there was the slightest inkling that there was some commentary or opinion in it, then it would snap in, and the other guys would say, hey, we get equal time. And it was a big pain for the networks to administer all that. So they're just like, they just stayed away from it.
And I mean,
so the big positive was who, what, where, when. It was great.
Yes.
But now, I mean, the positive is people pull out their smartphones, and we see things.
Yes.
We see
Everybody's
things
a reporter now.
Everybody's a reporter. And to the extent that those videos, bring transparency to things, that's pretty darn good.
Yes.
If someone sits there and takes a video and says, this is what I saw standing, from half a block away while this guy got pulled out of his car and hit or shot or whatever happened, that's real stuff.
Yeah.
That's the real thing. Although AI is coming, and we're going to have to be careful because people are going to create that stuff.
Exactly. I will say, even with the videos, you do have to be careful just because of how they get cut.
Right.
When a news agency picks them up and they want to edit them. And one thing that comes to mind is in Colombia, there was an incident that happened in a parking lot, and there was a video. You see the police walking up. So the first video that was posted, you see the police walking up. They're walking beside this guy. They're grabbing another guy, and the guy that the cops are walking beside that's approaching the guy that they're grabbing pulls out a gun and shoots him. And you see the police react, and they back up, like they back away from the situation. Then they finally pull out their guns and come back in and grab the guy who shot him. When you see that video, the first thing that you think is they really failed. Like, the way the video looks, it's amazing. like a few days later, they posted a second video, which was the entire video.
Mm-mm.
The guy who did the shooting actually got jumped by 2 security guards at whatever establishment they were at. And though the video looked like this guy was walking with the police, it happened so quick, he probably didn't even know that they were there. He got attacked. He was legally carrying his firearm. So when he got up, he pulled it out and shot the guy.
Oh.
And literally, when you watch the second video, you see that the police are actually approaching right as this guy gets up, and he's just so deadlocked on the guy that just now, attacked him and beat him up in front of his car. He didn't even notice the police was there. He shot once, and then when he noticed them, that's when it all died down. The second video gives you a much clearer perspective, and it's like, I found that to be interesting because, I mean, if you just watch the first video, it looks like a total failure on the whole department. When you watch the second one, it's like, okay, this all happened fast. Obviously, adrenaline was high. It was a lot going on. And I mean, in the whole video, it even shows like the man being attacked.
Mm-hmm.
So you see him being attacked. You see when the cops grabbed the bodyguard. And as soon as the security guard guy, as soon as they pulled him and was like backing him away from him, that's when the guy got up. And then, I mean, it was literally in one motion, just shot him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man. And it's interesting. And that's without AI.
But so, in a way it's a good analogy, in a way it's a bad one. But for those of us that are NFL football fans,
Mm-hmm.
the instant replay.
Yes.
And if you're an NFL football fan or a college football fan, but especially the NFL, how you have to wait because they'll have like 3 or 4 camera angles.
Mm-hmm.
And on one of those plays where it's like really close,
yeah, you see,
was the guy's knee down or wasn't it, and all this other stuff.
Like, no, he wasn't down. He wasn't down. You see the next one, like, oh man.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, and that's and again, in a way, because these other, I mean, of course, the NFL is just sports.
Mm-hmm.
But it does really illustrate the value of the videos.
Definitely.
But also the importance to kind of withhold a strong opinion about what those videos show until you're sure you've seen every possible opportunity to understand it.
Exactly.
Because, just like the NFL, you look at it from this way, oh, he definitely was not down. And then, oh, he sure was. And it happens all the time.
The grass blades flying up as he drags his knee. It's like, oh man,
but
he didn't look like that from the other.
Exactly. But it's really important to reserve judgment, and to really take in all the information and make sure you've got it all. And to Ben's point. And this is, again, the narsoles, the billionaires, the horrible people. They run a lot of the news media.
Mm-hmm.
So we are really in a terrible place at the moment because, like on a national level, for sure, almost all the people in government are horrible narsoles, narcissistic, sociopathic a-holes. And then the media outlets, and they call themselves news or whatever, but they're all, we've talked about this in past shows, they're opinions.
That's it.
The cable opinion network. Okay. And then the billionaires have 2 agendas. They have 2. One is how to get you to watch and keep your attention so they can maximize advertising dollars. That means the more you watch, the higher the ratings are. And the higher the ratings, the more money they get.
Exactly.
So that's number 1. And then number 2, many of them have their own, perspective on how society should be. And then they inject that by controlling, and some of the billionaires are more hands off and they're just focused on the money, but there's billionaires that are more hands on that are like, I'll sacrifice some money actually because I want to inject my
ideology.
My ideology
think like I think. So
yes, to make people think like I think, or not how I think, how I want them to think.
Exactly.
I want people to think how I want them to think. And the best example that I know of this one is now called X, used to be called Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But Elon Musk was buying this thing. And when I first heard about that, I was just like, what is he doing? You know?
Yeah.
And then he's talking, well, it's a public forum, and it's actually, even though it's not really free speech, it is, and it's and it's not being handled very well, and da 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 da. And so he put together, a coalition of investors to spend like $55 billion for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, why? He's got SpaceX, he's got Tesla, he's got the Boring Company.
Yes,
he's doing all
this stuff.
Why? Why do this? Why mess with this? And then especially because even though, I'm not the biggest businessman in the world, I'm like, I don't think he's going to be making money on this or whatever. $55 billion for Twitter it's not a lot. I mean, it's like, you're crazy. That's a lot of money to spend for not a lot of revenue or whatever.
I mean,
and but then he got hold of it, and the instant that he did, he turned it into the Elon Musk website.
Yes.
And I was a user, and I didn't go very often, but I would look on occasion and read what people were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then I noticed within weeks after Elon Musk owned it, the number of his posts that showed up in my feed went up by a factor of 40 or something.
Anytime you get on there, you'll see
50?
something. Elon Musk.
It was like every and it was at a place at one time. And again, I don't go very much anymore because it was always terrible.
Yeah,
but now it's even more terrible.
I never understood it, to be honest with you.
Well, it's people they're able to spew,
mm-hmm.
and people like to they like to spew. They
like it was almost like
vent.
It was like TikTok, but without the entertainment value. I mean, just random people saying random things. It annoys me because when I'm scrolling through my feed, I'm like, well, who is this now? Like, why are you showing my news feed? Like, I don't even follow you. Like,
but yeah, so then Elon's on there all the freaking time, like all the time, like every third or fourth post that's coming into my news feeds is from Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I get it now. I get it now.
Now he has his own social media site.
It's his opportunity to spew whatever Elon Musk wants to spew into the world and to influence a bunch of people. Yeah, and the other, I was going to say something else about Twitter, but it's left my mind, so we'll move on. But anyway, so the whole point of all of this is that there's a ton of people throughout the country, and you have been misled. Sometimes you don't see information that other people have seen. Sometimes you're seeing similar information, but it's been twisted.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you see it way more often than other people saw it, like that Hunter Biden thing.
Yes.
Depending on what, which media outlet you were watching, it was on there all the freaking time or not at all.
Exactly.
And that's so I finished that story. It was a long line, but here I got there. That was the point behind my telling this whatever minutes ago, was that there were some of the outlets, man, they were all over that laptop, and the others never mentioned it.
It's not a big deal to them.
Never
like, nah.
And on and on, and again, the stories go on and on and on and on and on and on and on both sides. And the main thing, ladies and gentlemen, all of these alternate realities, they're all created to divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, they are together to divide us. Now, they have maybe alternate reasonings behind why they're stoking anger and fear.
Mm-hmm.
And again, some of it is just money.
Yeah.
Some of it is just plain old money.
Sometimes, I mean, that's in there usually somewhere.
Sometimes it's just plain old money. But a lot of it is just some of these horrible people injecting this stuff into our social fabric to tear us apart,
Mm-hmm.
to divide and conquer.
Absolutely.
And the big negative, the big con these days, okay, and so again, having documentation of, and transparency can be positive, but the negative is then you can also have countless people saying whatever, reporting whatever, cutting those videos to show, or making alternate ones, or modifying them to show, to extend whatever their criteria are, whatever their intent is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to make one last comment about this. So this whole thing about freedom of speech, we should definitely have freedom of speech, but freedom of speech does not mean anonymous.
Exactly.
Does not mean anonymous freedom of speech.
Or freedom from the consequences
or
of
freedom
speech.
Freedom of the consequences of speech, in the sense that at least people know that you think this way.
Exactly.
Now, and we're not intending that the consequences is you're jailed or thrown or killed or something like that, but definitely that you have these opinions, a person, as opposed to some anonymous, whatever avatar.
Exactly.
That's on the internet.
And that's just a belief of mine. I feel that whatever your opinions are, you should own them.
You should own them.
Because people have a right to know who they're dealing with.
Yes.
They have a right to choose.
Going back to jury duty, you have the right to know who's accusing you.
Exactly.
You have a right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing and just a very simple thing that we could do with all of the internet stuff. If we forced the providers of the information, if you do a post and that post reaches any kind of volume at all, 100 people or whatever, then suddenly the post stops until the identity of whoever first sent it is verified.
Exactly.
And clearly, transparently, this came from this person.
Mm-hmm.
Because this anonymous thing, sorry.
It shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be.
I mean, and on the internet, you shouldn't be allowed to be anonymous with things like that, especially in this world of AI. It should be validated, and you should have to claim ownership.
Yeah. I mean, again, freedom of speech. You have the freedom to speak. Mm-hmm. But does not mean that you have a freedom to speak anonymously. That is what is killing us at the moment, as far as what's going on out there. And it would totally help us with all that we talked about, all the different alternate realities out there. Mm-hmm. It would help us figure out, well, this post, it came from CNN. This post came from Fox News. This, and da-da-da-da-da. We would know where the stuff was coming from. And that's good information to have.
It definitely is. That's what we need.
Who is speaking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so again, we have to be clear-eyed, and we have to use our critical thinking skills in a big way. Mm-hmm. So we're going to wind up the show. We are just volunteers, ambassadors for a better tomorrow. And that future is going to feature citizen statesmen in elected offices in our government. And it's wildly important that you join us in advocating for that, because we must do this. As we said earlier in the show, we've said in many other shows, we are at a fork in the road.
Yes, we are.
The past, what we've experienced up to this point, it's changing. And it's changing rapidly, and it's changing in one of two ways. Wildly better or wildly worse. And the wildly better one comes with us The wildly worst one, we stay with our current leaders from around the world. And we're going, I mean, our lives are going to go in the toilet.
Fast.
They're going to go right in the
'Cause,
toilet.
I mean, now at this point, it doesn't matter who's in charge. It's retaliation across the board, retaliation and escalation.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point is to shut out the other political party.
Divide and conquer.
That's it.
Divide and conquer. So if you care about anything or anyone in your life, citizen statesmanship is the answer for safeguarding that future for them. You should be talking about it each and every day. We certainly are. Our next show is going to be great. It's called A Term Limit of One. Uno.
Just one. That's it.
Just one. Join us for that show, won't you?
Bye for now.